Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. All change at Waterloo behind the scenes of the station overhaul. But what will it mean for the 650,000 commuters from the south who travel there?
Priced out, residents' anger as plush new seaside flats are snapped up by foreign buyers.
A spacesuit, the new football club kit that's out of this world.
Hurry! 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 And why? I'm the best town crier in the country!
Good evening to you, welcome. It's Britain's busiest railway station, used by 650,000 passengers from the south every day.
But tonight, commuters are being warned of major disruption to come while work is carried out to improve journeys to and from London Waterloo.
£800 million is being spent upgrading the station.
Platforms are being made longer for trains.
And there'll be new platforms replacing the former Eurostar terminal.
But next summer, 9 platforms at Waterloo will be closed for 3 weeks while some of the major work is carried out. With more, our transport correspondent Mike Pearce.
9 years after the Eurostar terminal closed, work to transform it for South West Trains passengers is at last underway. It's part of an £800 million upgrade and will see 5 new platforms brought into service. The benefits will be a massive increase in capacity. Passengers on crowded trains say is badly needed.
Yeah, well, it's very important, however. It will probably create more traffic in the morning for commuters going in.
Sometimes there's trains that you can't get on.
I don't think this is very crowded, to be honest. This is nothing. I think it's the time of the morning. Earlier, about half an hour earlier, it'd be 10 times worse.
Well, this terminal cost £120 million to build and was used by Eurostar for just 13 years. Incredibly, it's been deserted for most of the last 9 years, and that's because the government couldn't decide what it wanted to do with it. This has been empty for 9 years. It's a bit late.
Well, it's coming late. However, I would say it's better to have the project now and to look into the future. And in July 2017, we will be able to operate this platform. But I do agree it took a long time to get the planning and the agreement with the parties involved to get to that level.
Work on the terminal should be complete to allow the platforms to open next summer. Then existing ones will close with work taking place so longer trains can use them. But be warned, it will mean 9 platforms close at the station for 3 weeks next August, causing major timetable changes.
But let's not forget, it's not just Waterloo, it's major platforms along the Wessex route. We're going to get longer platforms, more passengers coming in, and a more efficient railway for the 21st century. So good news all round. We just ask people to bear with us and we'll get on with the job.
The full benefit should be complete late in 2018. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Waterloo.
Meanwhile, passengers on southern trains were dealt another blow today as fresh strike action was planned by rail workers over plans to close ticket offices.
Well, Mike Pearce is still at Waterloo this evening and sent this.
Yes, but if anything, things go from bad to worse for Southern and Gatwick Express passengers. The RMT holding this ballot. They say they're really concerned because they believe that changes that are being proposed will lead to 130 job losses.
They're trying to make 130 redundancies. And they're going to do this by multi-skilling staff and removing staff from stations. There's about 85 stations involved, right the way down to Bognor Regis. And what they're trying to do is reduce the times that the stations open. So they're just going to be open now in the early peak, not the late peak. And of course not late at night when women and vulnerable people need people on the stations.
Well, that ballot from the RMT will close in 2 weeks' time, and they say they are pretty confident of getting a yes vote, with strikes potentially later in the month. With me now is Keith Gipps from GTR, who were responsible for Thameslink, Southern and Gatwick Express. What is your reaction to this?
We're disappointed with the notice of ballot. We believe we've offered a good deal for our employees and also a good deal for our passengers by extending the hours of operations at many of our stations. Our staff will get pay rises for taking on the role of station host, and we will be having a much better customer-facing experience because there will be people at stations that aren't there today.
With what we've seen on Southern, potentially more ballot strikes now, isn't this just the end of the line for your passengers? They've had enough.
Well, we've been talking about the introduction of these roles for 8 months. We've made adjustments to these roles. There are going to be passenger benefits on it. We need to look at what the result of the ballot will be, but we are not looking to sort of go to war with the trade unions over this. We want to find an amicable solution, and we believe we've made a good offer.
OK, well, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and the hope now is that there will be talks and we don't see yet more misery for hundreds of thousands of people on Southern and Gatwick Express.
Mike Pearce reporting there. And a second planned strike by workers at Fawley oil refinery near Southampton has been called off. Members of the Unite union were due to walk out for 24 hours from midnight. It was due to a dispute over some foreign workers being paid less than staff from the UK. The union says after talks the affected workers will now receive backdated pay.
Estate agents' boards are to be banned across Brighton and Hove. A ban's been in place in some conservation areas of the city for 6 years, where estate agents could face a fine of up to £1,000. Councillors say the boards leave streets cluttered.
And there's been anger in Brighton after it was revealed around a quarter of new homes in its marina development have been sold to second homeowners and overseas buyers.
Well, the city now has the third highest levels of homelessness in the country, and campaigners say the development is doing nothing to solve Brighton's housing crisis, with residents being priced out. Andy Dickinson has more.
This model shows the scale of a £250 million development that's reaching for the skies. Its first phase almost completed. The first residents began moving in this weekend. Around a quarter of the units sold to overseas buyers and second homeowners.
It's a tragedy that in an area where there's a massive shortage of housing for local people, that a precious resource is going to people from outside the area and is at prices that people can't afford, and it's symptomatic of a housing market that is failing people.
It's a sentiment that carries some sympathy even with the marina's developers, who add, however, that they're meeting demand and creating employment.
It is a real struggle, it's a real challenge for the city, and I don't think it's just unique to us in Brighton and Hove. I think it's of national concern. I think we have to look at what sort of society we want in. I think it's very difficult as a developer to say to someone who comes to buy a flat from you, what are you going to use it for? You know, are you going to be living in there?
Yet as these luxurious towers go up, the number of homeless at street level only escalates. Brighton now has the third highest number of street sleepers in the country. The average home in Brighton costs around £300,000, while one of these flats will set you back at least £420,000. Now, the average UK salary is £27,000 a year, which means a flat on this development will cost at least 15 times the average wage.
I would like the government to be able to give local authorities much more power to be able to set rent controls, for example. I would like national government to direct any developers that they have to market their properties at home before they go abroad, because many of those homes will be second homes.
Perhaps one argument where everyone seems to be speaking from the same page, but certainly a lot more needs to be done on paper if the situation is ever going to change. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Brighton.
Filming for the World War II epic Dunkirk moved to Weymouth today, and so did the army of fans trying to catch a glimpse of its stars. One Direction's Harry Styles and movie star Tom Hardy were at Weymouth Harbour today. They were filming at Swanage train station earlier this week. Filming will move from the harbour to the beach tomorrow.
Well, you're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us. Coming up,
a fresh start, the military heroes learning new skills as they adapt to life after war.
More on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, call us please, 0808 1010 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Now, there are lots of things women are advised not to eat when they are pregnant, like certain cheeses, pâté, raw egg. But one thing many do feel they need to have is vitamins to ensure their unborn child gets the best start in life.
Yes, but now new advice suggests they might not need to. The multivitamin industries come under fire from the British Medical Journal, who say they can be an unnecessary expense and only folic acid and vitamin D are required.
The industry, though, say many women just don't have a balanced enough diet, as Lauren Hall explains.
Most mums-to-be want to give their child the best possible start in life. It's why many choose to take nutritional supplements during their pregnancy. But a recent review questions whether all those vitamins and minerals are actually needed, suggesting they could be a waste of money. It argues the only supplements needed by most pregnant women are available through the NHS or given away in places like this antenatal drop-in centre.
We give out NHS Healthy Start vitamins, which contain folic acid and vitamin D. We recommend that's all they need if they have a healthy, balanced diet. They don't really need to buy the expensive over-the-counter vitamin supplements.
The review published in the British Medical Journal says most pregnant women only require those two key supplements, folic acid and vitamin D. Many, though, are buying tablets with additional vitamins and minerals. There's a wide variety available over the counter, a month's supply ranging from under £5 to nearly £20.
There will be people whose diet may not be sufficient for them, in which case they may well have been advised to take a supplement. But think about your overall diet, ask your healthcare professional. Do you actually need to take anything other than vitamin D and folic acid?
They may well do, according to the body representing the nutritional supplement industry. It points to research suggesting many women of childbearing age don't enjoy a balanced diet, arguing they may need some extra help.
When it comes to women wanting to take a supplement in pregnancy, they need to feel reassured it is completely safe. It very likely has benefits. We know that the individual nutrients supplemented do have benefits to health, and also they need to be making sure they're choosing carefully, because they need to be choosing a supplement which is formulated for pregnancy.
At the antenatal centre, we asked women how they felt about the review's findings.
Even if I would have heard about it at the beginning of the pregnancy, I would have still taken the vitamins just to be sure.
They don't harm you. I don't see any harm in buying them.
Well, I wish I'd have known, because as I say, it's something that I didn't know about and was never told about, so it's slightly annoying.
Many women choose to take multivitamins and minerals during their pregnancy. Whether they need to and whether they make any difference is another matter. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Well, ITV's Dr. Hilary Jones joins us. Mothers, Hilary, want to do the best for their children, so it's no surprise, is it, that they should want to take multivitamins?
Absolutely. I mean, they are told that this is going to give their child, their unborn child, the best start in life, and largely that's true, because who knows how many women really have an ideal diet in today's society. 1 in 6 pregnancies aren't even planned, so who knows how they've been behaving before the pregnancy in terms of alcohol, which depletes levels of vitamin B. So supplementation means that it's an insurance policy that they're not nutritionally deficient in anything.
Now, folic acid and vitamin D are essential. Why are they so important?
Well, folic acid prevents neural tube defects. These basically prevent conditions such as spina bifida, which affects the spine and the spinal cord very severely, and sometimes even a large part of the brain, a condition called anencephaly. And folic acid is well known to be able to prevent many hundreds of babies being born with those terrible conditions. So folic acid is essential. Vitamin D is very important because so many women do start off their pregnancy deficient in vitamin D, essential for the development of muscles and bones in the baby, and also to help with fatigue and immune strength in the mother. So that's important. So probably omega-3 fatty acids as well, which can be derived from fish oils.
Now, we heard in that report that our diet isn't always as good as it should be. Is that the most important thing to get right for pregnant mums?
I think those three things are the most important, but many women are deficient in other things, trace elements, selenium, iodine, zinc, copper, and taking a multivitamin, provided it doesn't contain vitamin A, which can potentially be harmful to the unborn baby, gives you that sense of reassurance that you're taking enough, even if your diet isn't completely 100% healthy. And I think that's what women crave. They crave the reassurance that they're doing everything they can. And if it's a waste of money, so be it. It doesn't matter. They haven't done any harm, but they could have done some good. And who knows, it's the omega-3 that could be helping the brain and eye development of the fetus, which is so important in the future.
Obviously, vitamins are expensive. We don't want pregnant mums watching to feel confused or worried. Fairly briefly, what's your advice?
Go for certainly folic acid, which will be offered to you on the NHS. Think about vitamin D as well. I think that's important. Certainly omega-3, and then the other vitamins and minerals in a vitamin supplement, provided that it's not containing vitamin A and it's not too expensive. It doesn't have to cost £20 a month. You can probably get a good supplement, a multivitamin supplement, for probably under a £5.
Dr. Hilary Jones, always good advice. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, Fred.
Now, adapting to life after the armed forces can be difficult. Many soldiers who have seen war are never quite the same again, often being injured and suffering conditions like post-traumatic stress.
Yes, and even though many military personnel are highly skilled in their roles, not all of those skills are transferable into civilian life.
But now a charity based in Sussex that supports veterans across the country is addressing that by enrolling many on specially designed free courses to teach them new skills.
Gary Swain has been to find out more.
Once a tank commander, now doing battle with bathroom fittings. Nathan Blewer's 13-year military career ended when he was badly injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
I was a tank commander. As much as that sounds cool, that's not much use to people in sort of civilian life. I've got lower spinal compression and damaged neck. Also had a couple of stabilisation operations on my right shoulder, facial damage, and got a mild traumatic brain injury. The world sort of turned upside down. I joined the army at the age of 18. Thought I was going to have a long, full career.
Nathan has learnt plumbing, bricklaying, tiling, carpentry, painting and decorating. The free 5-week course at Chichester College provided by the Sussex-based charity Building Heroes.
There is a 230,000 shortage in skilled tradesmen in the UK today, and there's 120,000 unemployed veterans.
How difficult is it for some of these veterans to get back into civilian life and work?
It's incredibly hard for some of them, particularly with the wounded, injured and sick, where sometimes they leave the armed forces rather quickly, and so they don't have the time to prepare for their resettlement.
Thomas Stimpson from Surrey served in the Falklands, Iraq and Afghanistan during 26 years with the RAF. He was medically discharged in January 2014.
I'd never found another job, so since leaving it's very difficult to employ someone, one, who can't drive, who was unable to drive due to the seizures, two, who's on obviously a lot of medication, and I was still going through the recovery process, so I'm still under the care of combat stress. And obviously coming onto a course like Building Heroes has been exceptional, because this is really the start where I've started to realise that, you know, it's given me the confidence and skills to hopefully go forward into a career. And before that, I never had that.
Every single person who's been through Building Heroes has progressed either into employment, self-employment, or further training. And that means they've got their life under control. So I believe that we are saving lives.
Building Heroes receives no funding from the government or the military and depends on donations. Currently training 100 military veterans a year, the charity says it would like to help 1,000, giving a future to those who've given so much in the past. Kerry Swain, ITV News.
And of course, plenty more information on that on our website. Some sports news for you now. In football, Brighton had a comfortable win at Oxford. Anthony Knockaert with the first half strike. After the break, though, it was one-way traffic. Tom Cadman taking advantage of the woodwork before Israeli international Tomer Hemed added 2 more. Serie A side Lazio are next up for the Albion and would probably provide a somewhat stiffer test.
Now for a launch with a difference.
Yes, Reading Football Club, the finest, sent their new kit into space today after it was unveiled in front of fans at the Madejski Stadium.
Yes, the home and away shirts reached a height of 128,000 feet. That's around 4 times the cruising altitude of most aeroplanes.
Following the 135-minute ascent, they were parachuted safely back to Earth to land in a field somewhere between Thetford and Norwich, of all places, reaching a top speed of 211 miles an hour on their way back.
Lucky people of Norwich. Now, its aim is to raise awareness about the importance of organ donation while helping those who've had a transplant get back to full fitness.
Hundreds of competitors from across our region are heading to the annual Transplant Games this year, held in Liverpool. Teams are taking part from Southampton, Portsmouth and Oxford.
And tonight, final preparations are being made at the Athletic Stadium, where events will start first thing tomorrow. Our reporter Matt Price is there.
Yes, we might be in an Olympic year with the Rio Games taking place a little bit later on this summer, but for the participants at the Transplant Games, 900 of them, this event is arguably more important because none of them will be taking part if it wasn't for that life-saving operation that they've all had. Now, final preparations are taking place ahead of the opening ceremony tomorrow. Welcome packs are being sorted for registration this evening, and the final schedules are being drawn up as well. We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, to my colleague Stacey Foster, who's been speaking to some of the younger participants on how they're preparing to give it their all at this year's Games.
You got one for running.
Which one is for running?
Your bronze one was for running. You hold that one? And your gold one was for beanbag archery.
Yes.
A medalist now, but Matilda Baker has been fighting since birth. At 2 weeks old, doctors told her parents she'd need a life-saving kidney transplant.
She went onto the donor register in December 2013.
Donor register? What does that mean?
It means that you were needing your new kidney because your health was getting quite poorly. And we were on the donor register for 42 days.
And I'm still on it?
No, you had your kidney just after you were 4, didn't you? It's like they'd put in new batteries at the same time.
I'm not a pooker.
No, but you'd got so much energy and you were bouncing all over the place. I think they put new batteries in with a new kidney.
No.
And to use up that energy, Matilda and other transplant patients from hospitals across the country are taking part in the Transplant World's version of the Olympic Games in Liverpool, not Rio. Some have been before. For others, a new kidney brings a new experience.
Gonna be doing table tennis, running, throwing. No, I've never taken part before. I'm going to be doing cycling.
There's even some pros taking part. 17-year-old Declan Bennett has just come back from the European Transplant Games, where he won 5 golds for swimming.
The good thing about British Transplant Games is it brings people together, you meet new people who have different stories. Like, it's not just for people with kidney transplants, you've got people with heart transplants, lung transplants.
When before they couldn't because of hours of dialysis, the Transplant Games is a celebration of the fact that now they can.
Stacey Foster with that report. Now, the British Transplant Games have been taking place every year since 1978, and they wouldn't happen if it wasn't for a number of people, one of them being Lynn Holt. Lynn, we caught up at the Games last year. Exciting weekend for you. Tell me what we can expect.
The biggest Games so far, over 900 transplant athletes, and some of those 280 plus are children, which is amazing, and all of them showing us how successful transplantation can be.
And you touched on it there, but why is it so important to hold this event? A celebration of life, I suppose.
Definitely celebrating life, thanking the donor families. Without them, none of us would be talking about this, and getting the message out. Donation conversation. Tell your family your wishes.
Lynn, we'll let you get back to organising because without you, tomorrow might not happen. You can see the guys are still putting final preparations to the stadium here. And we spoke, didn't we, earlier about the Rio Olympics. Let me tell you, the guys and girls taking part in this event are pretty good. So who knows, Team GB might well be watching to pick up a few pointers ahead of the Games in August.
Right, Matt Price reporting there. Now, with mobile phones, social media and local news, it's hard to think back to a time when we relied on a town crier to keep us up to date with major announcements.
Oh yay, it's a tradition that dates back to the 18th century. Just look at this great black and white footage taken at an old town crier contest.
The town criers of Britain on the march to their championship. We know they've got 7-mile voices, but how much does that measure in pints? But joking apart, it isn't what they say that matters, but how they say it. Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
Well, that was in 1938, but you can still see town criers carrying bells and dressed in their distinctive red robes, yelling out to get our attention.
Yes, just like Britain's champion town crier, John Bartholomew from the south, who we filmed before 10 years ago. He's just been crowned the country's best.
Delighted to say John Bartholomew is with us. Congratulations, sir. You are Britain's champion town crier, from Hastings, of course. How does this championship work? Do you all try and outshout each other? Because there were 15 of you.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a very loud day, very warm day, but the emphasis is on, obviously, the disciplines are volume, clarity, diction, inflection, accuracy. There's a lot to think about.
A bit like our job, really.
No. Nowhere near.
And John, you're off to the World Championships next year. How many people will you be up against?
We have no idea how many, but normally at the World Championship, because it's an international competition, they come from all over the world, so it could be 50 or 60. And it's a week-long contest. This was only one day. I might be shouting for a week.
It's a worldwide thing then. They come all over the world. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are Hastings' official town crier. What makes, obviously, the voice, but what else makes a good town crier?
Well, funnily enough, Fred, I think you have to be a tiny, weeny bit extrovert, don't you?
Yes.
Because wandering around the streets of any town in the 21st century wearing a tricorn hat and sometimes breeches can be a little bit daunting for some people, but if you've got the backbone for it, it's good. You need to be extrovert, you need to be loud, you need to be confident, and you need to have a passion about what you're doing.
Well, I don't think either of us would be any good at that. But tell me, is it something that is dying out now? Because let's face it, we don't really need town criers anymore, do we?
Yes, you do. And town criers are a necessity. And I can harken back to one quick story I might tell you. On the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, that sad day, we all, town criers around the country, went out and did our thing. And a lady came up to me, she was from the United States of America, and she said, you know, I'm going to go home to wherever it is, and I'm going to tell them that I didn't hear this on the radio, I didn't see it on the television, I heard it from a town crier, the passing of Her Majesty, and it's so sad. And I thought, well, there you go, that emphasises the problem.
Let's put Sangeeta to the test, can we? Because I think she could become a town crier, and there are female town criers. What advice does she need to have?
Sangeeta, what you need to do is project.
Project?
Project. Be loud.
I ring the bell.
You ring the bell.
All right, Sangeeta.
3 oh-yeahs, and at the end, God save the Queen.
OK.
Go.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. God save the Queen.
That'll do for me. That'll do for me. A little bit louder next time.
A little bit louder.
I'll teach you.
I don't want to deafen everyone at home.
Congratulations to you, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
A little bit louder.
Oh, no.
That's never been said to you before.
Yeah, I'm also quiet.
A nice, loud, happy weather forecast now, we hope, from Amanda Houston.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, we did have some bright spells to end the day, but looking ahead towards the next few days, I'm afraid things are looking fairly unsettled. So tomorrow we will be seeing further spells of rain at times, and then on Friday it's a mixture of sunny spells and showers. Now for the rest of this evening and tonight, still a chance of the odd shower, but for most of us it will be dry. We've got some clear skies, and that will take us into a fairly decent start to the day tomorrow. So to begin with, it will be mostly dry with some spells of sunshine, especially the further east that you are, but it will cloud over from the west, and eventually a band of rain is going to be tracking its way across us. Now that rain, quite persistent, there could be some heavy bursts there at times. It will eventually clear eastwards, but behind it, as we see some sunny spells developing, that could trigger off 1 or 2 showers. So if you catch one of those, it could be heavy and thundery in nature, and quite a muggy feel to things in places too. Highs of 22 degrees, that's 72 in Fahrenheit. And as we move through Friday and into the weekend, it's a mixture of sunny spells and scattered showers, highs there of around 21 degrees. Bye-bye.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
In just a moment here, we've got the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale and Mark Austin.
Stacey Poole's got our late news. Join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care. Join us soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.